Hello, how are you guys doing? And thank you for coming back to share another episode of Political Gospel with Governor Wildstar. I'm Governor Wildstar. I just want to say thank you to you guys for coming back again to share another discussion with me and for enjoying the previous discussion as well as coming back to, engage in the second with me. So there's a few things I'd like to discuss, and the basis of it that I really want for you to emphasize for you guys is something that I've discovered lately with regards to just speaking with people amongst various topics. And I've come to the understanding that we as a people have felt like love is an option. And I want to discuss how this notion that love can be optional is our greatest mistake as a civilization, because where we are right now as a people is what keeps us divided is the lack of love and understanding that we have for one another. Understanding being stemmed from the tree of love. So on that branch of understanding comes various things, learning about other people's cultures, learning about other people's habits, understanding them and allowing them to be as they are, because we are different people in it, and we don't all need to be the same. We're all not built the same. We're all individuals, and if we can just love one another as if we love ourselves, then that would cure a lot of the problems that we do have. And I guess the greatest mistake that we seem to be passing on to each other is judgment. That judgment for one another prevents us from loving one another. And again, we can't let love be an option. That's what we've been dealing with this whole time, is battling between loving somebody or expressing love to someone, whether it be someone you know or a stranger, or not doing it. And that's the problem, is we as people need to know that it's love that is our natural state as human beings. We've gotten accustomed to allowing negativity to exist, and there being a and B, a yin and yang difference here, a right and a wrong. And to understand what we are as people and how we are as people, how can we ever live in a society where wrong is accepted? If so, then we might as well let murderers be murderers, and rapists be rapists, and thieves be thieves. Because if we allow that type of society to exist and coexist, how can we ever have that universal love type of world peace that we all desire as human beings? It's impossible. So in order to achieve that, we need to start accepting that this state of good and bad is unnatural to us as human beings, and we need to start getting more so back to our natural state to be loving towards one another as well as being loving to ourselves. And we can start first with just opening our minds to other cultures, other religions, other races, other sexualities, other. And again, if we look outside of our houses, outside of our bubbles, we'll see that everything else consists of other. It's not all cookie cutter as we, I guess, would like for it to seem. And as beings, loving beings, we need to start just accepting the other state of life. And it's funny because I watch videos online about other cultures, and they'll be making jokes, and they'll be Arabic or something like that. And I look at the comments of these videos, and what's funny is there'll be more comments about the person's nationality and him not being able to speak English, more derogatory comments than there would be about the joke that's being made, per se. And it's crazy because you would think as loving beings, we would want to express love for one another, especially when we want to help one another. If we all looked at each other's children as being just our own children, I think we would start feeling that love, kinship. And funny because those seem to be the commercials that they show on TV when they have the children and they show the pictures asking for money and all of this other stuff. It's always about money. And those same children that are out there in different worlds are in our own backyard. And we need to start thinking of that. These third world societies that we've allowed to exist out of poverty and created out of poverty exist in our own homes, in our own neighborhoods. And it's hard to come to this conclusion, but we must face it as people to realize that in order to start curing this disease state of humankind, where we've allowed these unnatural states of being to exist, that we need to start being loving towards one another, to plant their power. So if we can start just sharing that love with one another, and again start putting it into our minds that being loving is not an option. We must be loving at all times. We must express love at all times, no matter what cost, no matter how difficult it may be. That's our hurdle that we've created for ourselves. And I'm pretty sure that no matter what religion that you are, you would definitely understand this. No matter what walk of life that you come from, you would definitely understand that as a people, we naturally do want to be happy, and that's pretty much the focus. But I want to also tell you how the greatest hurdle or roadblock for us to overcome in order to achieve this universal love is usury. A lot of people don't know what usury is. They may have heard the word before, but aren't really familiar with it. But I'd just like to take a moment to express to you guys how much of this usury acceptance in culture has created this stalemate between us. And what I have here is pretty much just a collection of information notes that I have from Wikipedia that I'd like to go through with you guys. First being the definition. Usury is the practice of making unethical or immoral monetary loans. Depending on the local laws or social morals, a loan may be considered usurious because of the excessive or abusive interest rates. According to some jurisdictions and customs, simply charging an interest at all can be considered usury. Other terms used for usury or usuries include loan shark. We'll pick up there in just a moment. Okay, welcome back. So we're gonna, and now that we've gotten it down, a clear definition of what usury is, which is again the practice of making unethical or immoral monetary loans and charging interest for them. So basically what that means is anybody that loans anything out and then charges interest for it, it's called usury, and that's an unethical practice. We'll get more into that later, but let me get back to the notes here, which says that this term, usury, may be used in a moral sense, condemning taking advantage of others' misfortunes, or in a legal sense where interest rates may be regulated by law. But the papal prohibition on usury means that it's a sin to charge interest on a money loan. St. Thomas Aquinas, known as the Universal Doctor, said the natural essence of money was a measure of value or intermediary in exchange. The increase of money through usury violated this essence, and according to the same Thomistic analysis, a just transaction, was one characterized by an equality of exchange, one where each side received exactly his due. Interest on a loan in excess of the principal would violate the balance of an exchange between debtor and creditor, and was therefore unjust. If you guys don't understand that, what that basically means is when you go to a bank and you go to make a loan, the interest that the banks charge you is extremely unethical, in the sense that not only are you making a loan because you don't have the money, but seeing as it's done in a way to where it's practiced to take advantage of those that are misfortunate. A lot of people that tend to go in for loans may not at the time have the capital to pay back that loan, and or may be able to pay back that loan later in life due to certain instances. They may have it at the time, but then things happen, and hey, guess what? The banks come for their payment, and you don't have it. And that's malpractice right there with regards to loaning out money to others. Because again, this is considered a moral practice and an unethical practice, which has been called usury throughout time, in the beginning and creation of money, and since there's been exchanges and barters, etc. So these are things that I would suggest for any and all of you guys to research, because it's definitely connected to how we interact with one another. Of course, we all use money, we all use banks, we all need things, and this is the thing, is we have our lives, and we created this environment to where we're being used and preyed upon, all because of our natural desires and needs as human beings. We all need energy, we all need food, we all need shelter. These are just, simple things. We all need clothing, etc. So no matter where you are in the world, these are natural necessities that definitely just need to be provided for, just to keep your natural state of being. So it's unfair that throughout the world you have levels of this, basic providing being given to people. I mean, you have people living in boxes, then you have people living in boxes that they call projects, then you have people that live in boxes that they call apartments, then you have people that live in boxes they call condos, and it just continues to go up and up and up, and it's ridiculous because the people at the top, the creators of the debtors of our society, they are the ones that are using us from the bottom up. And it's unfair that as a society we've started accepting this whole ideal that it's okay for the rich to get richer while the poor to get poorer. I mean, when as a people did that ever become acceptable, when at the same time we're battling poverty and trying to do everything that we can to help others that are less fortunate. So it doesn't make any sense when we allow those to malpractice and be unethical in their being, to prey upon us, but then go and try to do good in the world. It's just backwards to me. And again, how can we ever achieve that goal with that state of mind? We need to start shifting our focus again to start knowing that love is not an option. And in order to share this love with one another, we can't allow these types of ideals and people to prosper. Back to the notes that I have. This is where it kind of gets deep for you guys, so just bear with me. Historically, some cultures, such as Christianity and Islam, have regarded charging any interest for loans as sinful. Some of the earliest known condemnations of usury come from the Vedic texts of India. Similar condemnations are found in religious texts from Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I'd like to stop right there really quickly because, like I said, this is where it kind of gets deep. A lot of people have their stereotypes about certain people because of their religious beliefs, and I, as a spiritual member of the family of humans, feel like it's every one of our duties to go out and learn as much as we can about each other's religions, because it does connect us as human beings. And again, it's our only goal, our only way to achieve that universal love and peace for one another throughout the world. So it's unfortunate that you have Christians that vow not to read the Quran, or are offended by those that do, because there's a lot of knowledge out there to be obtained, whether it be in the Quran or the Torah or the Bhagavad Gita, or some book that you may pick up from a philosopher or something like that. Pardon?
Quran, I believe.
The Quran. That's what it said. So if we started embracing these other historical scriptures and texts about God, then we would start having a greater understanding of what God is, and whether it's I would say that anybody out there that would like to just explore more that is Christian, to start first with questioning first the missing books from the Bible, like the book of Enoch, or the book of Jubilees, or the Gospel of Mary. These are very, very good, I guess, historical texts that were removed from the Canaan before the Bible was put together. So anybody out there, again, if you're Christian or Muslim or Jewish, etc., please explore one another to know one another. That's our true way of really loving one another and breaking down these barriers that have been built up to divide us, from preventing us from loving one another. We'll be right back, all right? All right, so now let's get deep, all right? So, knowing that we can learn a lot from different religions, and again, that usury is one of these things that historically, throughout every religion, has been condemned. Let's discuss a few discoveries that I found with regards to usury. Deuteronomy 23:19. In the Bible, there's quite a few, so this is just a couple. Deuteronomy 23:19. Do not charge your brother interest, whether on money or food or anything else that may earn interest. Matthew 25:27. Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. What does that mean? I mean, come on. They're trying to tell us that this practice of usury is ridiculous, and here in the Quran, it says those who charge usury are in the same position as those who controlled by the devil's influence. This is because they claim that usury is the same as commerce. However, God permits commerce and prohibits usury. Thus, whoever heeds this commandment from his Lord and refrains from usury, he may keep his past earnings, and his judgment rests with God. As for those who persist in usury, they incur hell, wherein they abide forever. That's from Al-Baqarah 2:275. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can all understand that. It seems like in the Quran, in that text there, that is basically saying that those that do persist in usury, they're in their own hell as it is. They know it, we know it, and they're creating a hell for those involved in it. Just think about the turmoil that people deal with when they can't pay their mortgage payments. The turmoil that's involved when people can't pay their car payment, the turmoil involved when people can't pay their light bill, the turmoil involved when people can't pay for their medication. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and this is all a practice of usury. Because if we were able to provide for one another equally, I give you something and you give me what I need in equality, then we will both be provided for. But you have people exacerbating the charges for things so much so to where the interest rate and the taxes, it sometimes adds up to be more than what the cost of the product tends to be, or half the price damn near. And it's awful because, again, not all of us have the ability to afford these things, but we need these things. And back here to the notes, let's say, it says, at times many nations from ancient China to ancient Greece to ancient Rome have outlawed loans with any interest. Though the Roman Empire eventually allowed loans with carefully restricted interest rates in medieval Europe, the Christian Church banned the charging of interest at any rate, as well as charging a fee for the use of money, such as at a bureau of change, or check cash in place, bank, etc. Jesus' famous cleansing of the temple was to remove money exchangers who were committing usury. Okay? So that's really a problem, to where if it existed back then and it exists now, to where it's created this environment to where we all are suffering. And you can see now why he did such a thing, because that malpractice, that unethical and immoral action that they were doing, preyed upon the most unfortunate people, which was everybody, because we need things. And unless you're in a position of power to where you're able to obtain massive amounts of money, then you're on the lower end of that totem pole. And how fair is this, people? Usury, in the original sense of any interest, was at times denounced by a number of religious leaders and philosophers in the ancient world, including Moses, Plato, Aristotle, Cicero, Seneca, St. Thomas Aquinas, the Prophet Muhammad, Jesus, Philo, and Buddha. Okay? Matter of fact, the philosopher Cato the Elder has a quote that says, "Wise men profit more from fools than fools from wise men. For the wise men shun the mistakes of fools, but fools do not imitate the success of the wise." The way I relate to that is by saying that it's crazy that the wise men, they will look at the actions of those that are poor and misfortunate, and they won't repeat those actions. But us poor people, we don't look at the actions of the people that are preying upon us and getting rich upon us and shun those actions, because if we did, we wouldn't allow Wall Street to be getting richer while people are losing their jobs, and more people are getting on unemployment, and more people are getting on food stamps and welfare and government aid, and all of this would not be allowed while, again, those people that are prospering from us are just saying, bad, bad, bad. It's ridiculous. We should be out in the streets right now to the tune of millions. But because you're locked up in this day-to-day, I gotta pay my bills type of state, you're unable to break free to do that. You would love to do that. I bet you would. I know you would. But you gotta pay those bills, right? So you can't afford to go out there and protest the banks and protest the politician and pass these laws to make the banks prosper, etc. Because if you did, if you really did, you would stop that whole chain of events. Now, this is the most signature part of it all. The pivotal change in the English-speaking world seems to have come with the permission to charge interest on lent money, particularly the 1545 Act. It's called an Act Against Usury of King Henry VIII of England. And what that basically did was allow usury to continue. And it's crazy because King Edward I of England passed the Statute of Jewry, which made usury illegal and linked it to blasphemy. So you had the first king of you had a previous King Edward say that usury is blasphemous, but then later on you had King Henry VIII sign along to that usury is okay, pretty much. And this is where it gets a little bit more deeper down the rabbit hole, you guys, because if you understand banking in our country, you must understand how banking is done in England, how it came from there, okay? And how our central banking system is connected to the Rothschild family, which owns central banks all over the world, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, all of these things, the Federal Reserve, they're all connected and owned by one single family. So one single family or group of families and groups of individuals are profiting the most off of this usury process that is expressed all over the world. And this is terrible, and we definitely must bring this practice to an end. We'll speak a bit about that more in just a moment. Alright, so we were talking about the whole central banking, worldwide banking system. It's terrible. And like I said, you guys, please research any and all of everything that I'm telling you. Don't take it for face value. That's not what it's all about. And that's what they want you to believe. And what you really need to start learning also about the society that we live in is we've been trapped into what's called double speak, where people say one thing yet mean another. And a lot of these words and terms that are being said to you on television and in magazines, or whether it be by a politician or a newscaster, they have double meanings. And a lot of them are rabbit holes. They have some specific terms that they'll further if you are engaged enough to want to investigate them. Like, for instance, Joe Biden is making a previous present day. Why are those two linked? Let's find out. While the practice of direct slavery is widely banned across the world, in some places debt slavery is still practiced. A debtor who is found unable to repay a loan can be placed in a state of debt slavery, a situation whereby their life and labors are directed by the lender until the debt is considered repaid. Usury is often a major part of extending this slavery, not uncommonly assisting in extending the debt slavery onto the children of the debtor, thus making slaves of multiple generations and promoting child labor. Another form of our name for this practice is debt bondage. If you look on the money that you have in your wallet, especially if you're in the United States of America, look on there. It says this money is used for all debts, public and private. It does not say that this money is backed by gold. It does not say this is your money, you can have it, you can keep it. It's saying it's used for debt. It's an IOU. And you're going to use that paper note issued to trade that debt from one thing to another. Think about what you use money for. You don't use it to keep it like some good, like a food or whatever, Kleenex or tissue or something of value. It's something that you get and you pass it along to somebody else to get what you need. Okay? And you most likely, more than anything, you're using that because you owe it to somebody else. And they're going to do what? Pass that on to somebody else, and pass that on to somebody else, and pass that on to somebody else. The buck never stops. And that's the thing, is how did this system ever start to where we've gotten to the point as a society where this is acceptable, to where we're trading debt on to one another. You're trading an IOU on to somebody else and thinking that you're benefiting from it somehow, when really you're always trapped in what? Debt bondage, because that money is always owed to somebody. Okay? This is the loop that we're stuck in as people. So there's never a way that you're going to get rich. You think you're getting rich. You ain't getting rich. Okay? Rockefeller, he's rich. Rothschild, he's rich. Morgan, JP Morgan, he's rich. Okay? Those are rich people. Bill Gates, he's rich. Okay? Those are rich people. But when you got these rappers talking about they're getting rich, they ain't getting rich. If you looked at what happened to Jay-Z lately when his personal accounts got hacked into, they found out he owes people just like everybody else, okay? And he got bill collectors chasing him just like everybody else. But the image is everything. And as long as they can keep up that image, they can get good with those that continue to keep that system of usury going. So when people talk about his connections with the Illuminati, etc., you want to look into more so about his banking relations, because that's the key. His connections with the Barclays Bank. Okay, I don't know if you know this, but basketball stadium for the Nets that he owns or whatever is Barclays, etc. But Barclays is involved in the LIBOR scandal, which is a interest rate, international interest rate policy that all of the banks agreed upon. And that was a scandal that happened over the summer last year that's still going on to this day, where banks end up owing $600 million plus. B of A just ended up getting caught for having to owe $600 billion, that's B with the billion, okay, dollars worth of money back to people. And that's Bank of America. Okay, Wells Fargo is involved in this scandal. Any bank, Chase Manhattan, Chase Banks, they're involved in this scandal. Any bank, any major bank that you deal with, they're involved in this scandal. And this is the thing, is the reason why all of the cards are falling down is because you have people stepping up that are saying this state of usury has gotten out of control. Because at a point we started to establish certain usury rates within states to make it allowed to say you can't go beyond this, to make it excessive to that person to where they can't pay it back. They have to be given that opportunity. But now you're never given that opportunity. You're always locked in debt. When a child is born, they already born into a life of debt. That parent just passed on to them $30,000+ worth of debt, in counting by the minute, thanks to our national debt, which is to the tune of trillions now, and going up by the minute because of our wars and excessive spending in government. Now, if you can't see how all of this relates to your day-to-day life and how politics has a big influence in this whole change, then I would say that you're still sleeping and you're refusing to see the truth for what it is. And the problem with us as people is we're stuck in believing the lie. We're stuck in believing the lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. Okay? If you want to know the truth, you have to dive in the books, you have to dig in the crates, you have to investigate, and you have to want to know the truth. We'll pick up there in just another moment. Alright, so I'd like to go into this whole state of addiction of humankind, where we've gotten addicted to the idea that money brings happiness. I don't believe in that concept at all. I never did, and because of that, I've been always provided for in every which way, shape, and form. And I thank God for that. I thank my belief in God for that. I thank my belief in my faith for that, because if I believed in money and what money says, in God we trust, if I believed in that God that they're trying to present, I would never be as prosperous as a person, because I would have always found myself in that state of debt. And right now, I'm free from that in every way, shape, or form that I can think of. I still pay bills, etc., but I'm not locked into a banking system, and I don't have an obscene mortgage or credit card bills or car notes or anything like that. And I'm thankful for that, because a lot of younger people, unfortunately, especially those in college or just coming out of high school, etc., and don't know much about banking, they get swallowed up into that system very quickly and very easily, and they don't know that that's when they're really preyed upon as individuals, because again, when their children are already born into this debt, that's why when they get their first job at 13, 14, etc., they're already paying taxes. Why are they paying taxes? Oh, it's to fix the roads, etc. No, it's to pay off the debt that you owe already. And that's the lie. They want you to believe that you're in debt. You're not. It's all a lie. They created the debt. It's out of thin air. And you don't owe it at all. And if you looked into what's going on with taxation and the increase of that every which way across the world, then you would start to see how this world of slavery of debt is starting to crumble down. That's why I said we will be free, okay? Vote for me for Governor of California. I'll free California, and trust me, this would help break the chains to help free the world, because I would make it my first and foremost duty to free California from taxation and from its debt slavery. And I'd like to go into letting you guys know that there is no limit on love, okay? No matter what they tell you, love abundantly. Love as much as your heart can take, because in order for me to even do this myself, believe and trust that I have a lot of love in my heart for not only myself and my wife and our future, but for you. I'm doing this for you, for our world. A friend of mine was talking to me the other day that I asked to join the team to help join the campaign, and he told me that he's dealing with his own issues in court, and he said, I would love to go in there and attack the courts like you, but I need to help you. And in order to help you, I need to join you at the top, because I can try to chop it down here at the low man totem pole place, but I'm only going to keep chopping it at the root. But if I can help you at the top, then we can battle it and cut the head off. And that's what we want to do. We want to cut the head clean off of this, people. It can no longer persist. It's evil. It's demonic. It's satanic. It's everything negative that you can think of, and it's devouring us. And in order to free ourselves from it, we must first recognize it for what it is, okay? And then react, okay? To every action is a reaction. They're acting. We need to start reacting, okay? Wake up out of your sleeping slumber and start reacting. I know it's hard to break away from your jobs to do so, but while you're on the computer, don't go looking up obscene material or anything that's going to pollute your mind to refrain you from getting to where you need to be. Start investigating these things that are imperative to your spiritual growth as a human being, because it's not only going to be helping you, it's going to be helping me, it's going to be helping us as a whole. And this is the universal love that's in effect right now. Start loving yourself, because again, loving yourself is the most important dynamic to first loving others, okay? We gotten so used to battling ourselves and talking about the things that we do wrong and how it prevents us from being ourselves or being loving to others. And we kick ourselves in the ass repeatedly about these things. And we need to start realizing that this is a deterrent in itself, because that prevents us from being fully open to loving others with flaws, okay? Because we're all not perfect. We're not perfect. Nobody ever was, nobody ever will be. Especially living in this third dimensional world. It's not possible. Especially when you're living with the dynamics of right and wrong. It's just not possible. Those wrongs in the world won't allow you to just be right, no matter how much you try. And believe me, as much as I try, there's some wrongs that interfere. So if you can focus on, again, knowing that love is not an option. We must start loving each other abundantly. We must start loving each other openly. We must start loving ourselves fully, okay? And if we can do this successfully, then trust me, we'll be more complete in what we're trying to achieve here, and we will have that universal peace and love that we desire as people. I would like to not live in a place where there is no war. Where is no war going on. Nowhere in the world. Nobody's dying because of war. Somebody's dying, it's dying on accident or because of something like that. Not because of some sort of violence that one person would express to one another, because we're not violent beings. If we were, everybody would be dead. And that's how they're trying to make it seem on TV, like everybody's running around like Yosemite Sam killing each other. It's funny because my wife actually gave me that term, and it made the greatest sense. if it's really that bad, like they make it seem on TV, where people are running around shooting and killing each other constantly, come on. Think about what kind of world we would be living in. You wouldn't be able to go outside and do anything without getting shot at and ducking and dodging and wearing a bulletproof vest. It would be impossible to live. So you know you don't live in that type of world. You know you don't. Don't believe the lie, okay? And start recognizing the love out there in the world. You go out there in the world and you see people helping each other. You see people expressing generosity to one another. You see people being chivalrous to one another. You see people being courteous to one another. Be an example of that. More of that, because that's what's necessary. And again, I would like to say thank you to all of you just for tuning in with me today, and I would love to hear from each and every one of you. So if you do have any comments, please make sure to say something. I've moved from Facebook to worldtruth.org, so my new personal page for social networking is worldtruth.org/Wildstar. And keep in touch with us on Governor Wildstar. We'll see you soon.